Hello everyone, welcome to Lunch with Laura. I'm Laura Lee Collet. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for 20 years. Today I'm going to talk to you about a special we have going on during the month of June. It started 2 days ago and it goes to the June 30th, and I'm calling it the Suite, S-W-E-E-T, Suite Sale. And what I'm talking about is our suites that are listed either in the online exclusives or in the catalog. And a suite is where you can get several items together that all coordinate and work together. And you can either buy the whole set and use one number to go in for your order, or you can pick and choose what you'd like. And for the sale, what we're having is buy one, get one at 50% off. So if you buy 2 suites, the cheaper one is going to be the one that is 50% off. Now, if you buy parts and pieces, it'll figure it out at checkout, and you're going to be saving big, and these suites are something you have got to see. Like I said, they're in the catalog or in the online exclusives. And before I forget to remind you of this, my website is stampinatthebirdnest.com. You can reach me through there, or you can email me if you have questions at laura@stampinatthebirdnest.com. Now, I want to show you the suite that we are going to be using today. It's called the Kintsugi Inspiration. I hope I'm not slaughtering that Japanese word. And on the pages that have the suites, there are usually 4 or so pages that show you some samples that you can make. Then when you see what is with the suite, you'll see that this suite includes the stamp set, the dies, the embossing folder, some little flowered brass pieces that come in small and large, and then you get this gorgeous paper. When you turn to the next page, you're going to see some more samples. And then you can see better pieces of what the designer paper looks like and what all is used. There are about 7, I believe, suites in the catalog, and there are more online. If you do not know how to get to the online exclusives, you need to know this, because those are things that are not in the catalog, that occasionally they update and add more things to it. If you go to your account at stampinup.com, you will find the tab that says Menu up in the top left corner. When you click there, you'll go down and you'll have several things to choose from, and one of the buttons is Online Exclusives. So check that out. Now, let me show you the live, what this looks like. Here is the stamp set. It has a vase, a bowl, these little squiggly things, a flower, then there's some other little flowers here that you can stamp, and some really great sentiments. thanks for helping me through this difficult time. You inspire me. There is beauty in your history. I know you'll get through this and be stronger for it. I'm here for you. Here are the dies that go with it, and there are 9 in this set. You have the large vase, the small bowl. This is for the flowers, and these 3 pieces can be cut out of your designer series paper. That's always neat when Stampin' Up! Does that. These are some little flowers, more flowers. This is the little stamped bunch of flowers right here in this corner. Then you have the little squiggly pieces that are used for the gold, and I'm going to show you something else to do with them. And then you have this little summit box, tab, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to be using that today too. The embossing folder is absolutely gorgeous. This is what it looks like, and I had trouble figuring out which was the top and which was the bottom. You can really use it either way. I believe this is the top, and you've got diamonds down here, then leaves, florals, some cracked pot right there, and then the lines that glue all these broken pieces together. When you put it on white against another color, they are just beautiful the way it comes out. And sometimes you can spritz your paper to get a little bit deeper impression, but I didn't even have to do that with this. It really came out well, and the stamps, you're going to see how well they stamp on the paper when we get to that point. Now, the DSP has a front and back that is gorgeous, and many times when I pick out some designer series paper, I'll love 2 or 3 of the pages, and then the others not so much. I mean, it's not something I would throw away. Definitely I could use it somewhere else, but it's just that certain ones appeal to me. In this set, it was hard deciding what to use. And on the back, this is the one that has all the things that can be cut out. On the back, they have cloud cover on this page. Look at this with all the gold pieces put together. And I didn't know this until I looked up something about the Kintsugi method, and I hope I'm not slaughtering that word, but apparently the pots that are broken are put back together with gold. Sometimes silver is used, and that makes them more valuable than an unbroken pot. On the back of this one, again, we have some of a cloud cover with a little design. I love this paper. The also being used is gold foil, misty moonlight, petal pink, and there's a cute little design there. Then you have the basic beige and the gold. And we're going to be using a piece of this today. It's the Misty Moonlight. Again, you've got Misty Moonlight and the gold. But see how pretty all of these are? It's just so hard to decide what you want to use. Now this one has a little squiggly pattern on it. And then I think that is just beautiful. I can see making cards out of that. And again, it has the pink. The other color that is in here is Old Olive Lost Lagoon. And along with the gold foil, the basic beige, cloud cover, misty moonlight, and petal pink. And it's interesting to see how those all work together. Now, let me just show you and tickle your fancy here with some of the cards I made. There's a lady from the UK that made a class, and I haven't finished it with all the things that she had for us to do, but this was one of the cards. Now remember that die that was the little squiggles, and I told you I was going to show you something else to use with it. Not only can you use it on the pot to make it look like it's been put back together, but here I've used it as branches for the cherry blossoms. So I thought that was really cute. We even did some origami and made these cute little geisha girls. Oops. And that was so fun to make. And I used the embossing folder on the back. But isn't that cute? She's got a little bun on her head, bangs, some little barrettes up there that are gold. And then if you can see, her shoes are just peeking out beneath her kimono. And this one is really pretty. We made fans, even with the little hanging down decorative piece, and turned this into an easel card. And it stands up like so, and I'm going to tilt it so that you can see it. So the thanks is holding it up, and I just think that is so pretty and cute. Here are the little flowers that I didn't show you in person. I showed you a picture in the catalog. So we're going to be using those. And this was a card I created. In fact, I created it a few minutes ago when my first live went to Heck in a Handbasket. So we're going to be doing this card this time. And I'm going to show you there's some detail in here, such as the gold that was used to put pots together, and I've got some scoring on the paper, just about an inch, just to add some dimension and some interest to the card. So let's get started. Okay, we are going to be using, on this card it was landscape, and now this card is going to be landscape also. I was going to do it portrait, and I changed my mind. So we are using cloud cover for the card base, and through the magic of TV, I have already put a 5 1/4 by 4-inch piece of our designer paper that's in the misty moonlight. Doesn't that go great with the cloud cover? That is such a beautiful color, and it's one of our in colors this year. We're also going to be using some of our foil, a piece of basic white that I have gone ahead and cut out using a stitched rectangle die. Those are retired. You can use any other one you have or want to use, or you can simply just cut it at 3 inches by 4.5. So this is the way the large vase comes out when you cut it out. And I want to show you what it looks like. Now, when I cut apart, when I went to cut out the flower and the vase from the designer sheet of paper so that I could cut those, I just trimmed around and put them both over on my mini cut and emboss machine. And I found that if you put the die for the flower and the die for the jar, it barely fits. And I was afraid it would throw off one or the other. So all I did was cut apart the two images and cut them out at the same time but separately. So let me bring our machine over. This is our little mini cut and emboss machine, and if you've never used this before, you have 3 plates, and on plate number 1 it shows you the little sandwich, or the way you stack your plates with your cardstock or designer paper. So I'm going to have plate 1, and then you get 2 plates that are number 2. And I dedicate one to the bottom, and this is the one that's going to get scarred up. And then the top one, I try not to use. This one got used as a bottom plate, so it's a little scarred, but it's pretty clear. And when this gets too bad, I'll just discard this, move the top piece to where it'll now be the bottom, and put a brand new layer on top. So for now, this is the way they're going to stack up with our pot in the middle and then plate number 2 on top. Now, if you have not used this before, we have learned that instead of having all the plates together, the middle one, or the bottom number 2 plate, needs to hang off in the back just a little bit. It kind of looks like an ear or a shape like that when you, or you can go forward, it doesn't matter. But that way the cogs can grab and pull it through. Okay, now I am going to put I'm going to use a piece of, these are Post-it notes, little tape that I use when I am cutting out things, and it holds everything in place and keeps it from shifting. Now, let me mention this too. Some of our dies leave a white edge around. This one does not. So you want to be sure that you position it where you can just barely see the gold. And I'm going to tape it down so it doesn't move. I'm going to put on the top plate and run her through. Now, I had already cut out the flower. Let me show you how beautifully this cuts. Look at there. So that's going to be used here on our paper. And we're going to need to use this little die. And you're going to cut out here that'll leave a hole in the paper, and then I've cut out an extra one, and I'll show you what we're going to do there. Now, it would make sense if we were going to do the score lines all before I cut, okay? But we're not going to make sense. We're going to do it so that only the background white is scored and the two pieces here are not. So let me show you how that's done. You need to decide where you want your die. And if I look at my sample card, I have it down just slightly. So about a quarter down from the top and a quarter over from the side. And again, I'm going to use my little tape to hold it in place. Okay, so let's run that through. Okay, so here we have the piece that was cut out from this one. And I can save this tape and use it until it isn't sticky anymore. Let's put these back over here. So now we have our white there, the pot's going to go there. We're going to stamp the sentiment on one of these. And then we're going to come back. In fact, I'm going to score first because I got inky fingers a while ago. And let me show you something that is one of what I consider the most valuable tools that we have. And it's our Simply Scored board. And I'm going to raise this up just a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Okay, and let me turn my notifications off. Forgive me for 1 second. Let's see if I can find out where they're coming from. And I don't seem to be able to, so... Oh, here they are. Let me turn those off. So sorry about that. Hide alerts. Okay, now we shouldn't be bothered anymore. Okay, back to our Simply Scored scoring board. This runs $37, and in my opinion, if you make a lot of cards, you're going to use this. I use it every time I make a card. And what I am trying to remember to do is, we'll pretend like this is a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, and that I'm going to want to make 2 cards out of this. Depending on if you want them to be landscape. Now this one is portrait, so it goes up and down. But if you want it to be landscape, like our sample here, you would score it differently. So this one is scored at 4 1/4, so that means that when I go to cut to make 2 pieces, the score line's already there. So that's a really good point to keep in mind. It comes with a stylus, and there's a little home for it right down here in the bottom where it lives, and it has 2 ends. It has a fat end and a skinny end. Well, the one with the big fat little ball on it is the one that I use for our designer paper. And the reason is if I use the little skinny end and I press too hard, you're going to tear into the paper, and you don't want to do that. So this is for the designer series paper, and the little thin, skinny little ball there is for your cardstock. It also comes with a little storage place where you can put your bone folder and store your little markers. And you get markers where you can show yourself exactly where you want to score. So if I'm doing a card that is going to be scored at 5.5, I'm going to put it right there. And then when I go and put my paper down, well, this doesn't work. Let's do 4 1/4. Okay. So I can score it right there, and I know that that's the line I need to follow. Okay, let's take a look at what we're going to do here. I am going to, that's Ziggy baby. She must be dreaming. I didn't mention that it has, it's just like a ruler up here, a 12-inch ruler, and it has 1 inch increments, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and even an 1/8 of an inch. So you might can see that right there. So I am going to be scoring at an 1/8 of an inch just on here. Now, this gets a little tricky because if you go all the way down, it kind of catches. So I'm going to start, and I'm using my small end of my stylus, and I'm going to start right here with this 1/8 of an inch, and you can just follow it down and score. Now I'm going to go to the next one, which happens to be a 1/4 inch. Now, this is where you want to be sure to follow it down, because having that little empty spot there kind of makes it a little more difficult. And I'm still getting notifications. I hope you can't hear those. And I'm just going to do this for about an inch. Oops, I missed one. Okay, there's an 1/8. So you can go back and fix it if you miss one. I'm going to go ahead and do this one and one more. And up here, I finished those. Now, this just adds a little texture to your paper. Hold it so you can see it. There you go. And a little dimension. It just adds dimension and interest. Okay. So now, I know that's going to go there. And I've got my 2 little things here. One of them I'm going to stamp with the sentiment that says, "Where there is beauty in your history." Okay, so I'm going to ink up my stamp, and wait till you see how awesome this stamps. Look at that. It is crystal clear. Close this up and make sure I don't have, when I'm working with white, I have a problem with getting ink on it where it shouldn't be. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so we know that this is going to go about there. The other one is going to go underneath. But look, we need some of those little gold squiggly things. So let's take our gold And I'm gonna go ahead and cut both pieces out. And we're gonna use those to decorate, and we'll have a little left over that you can just trim off. Now, one thing that I'm not showing you, but I wanted to tell you about, on the back, and if you can remember to do this, it'll save you a lot of frustration. These little pieces, such as these little skinny pieces, it's hard to use with your liquid glue, because you know how liquid glue is. It's awesome, but it can get everywhere. And if it squishes out underneath, then you've got sticky there that something can get stuck to. So what I have done is I've used and I didn't bring one over here with me, but there we have some adhesive sheets that you lay on you peel the back off and lay it on whatever you're cutting out. Now what I did was, this is 3 by 4.5, and I cut the piece of adhesive the same dimensions and just laid it on top. And it makes it so much easier for pulling off and putting those little pieces on your paper. So let's show you how this works. I'm going to put that one about right there, and this one up here. And I'm not even going to worry about them slipping because there's plenty there. And this time I'm going to shove that middle piece up, and let's see what happens. Goes through. This little cog get pull the little sandwich through. Okay, now, whoops. Remember, before you put your dies away, you need to get a pointy tool or take your pick tool. There are holes in the dies, and you just can get it started to pull away. So there's one. And here is number 2. And there's the little hole. And there it comes out. Be sure not to lay your dies on your table. I have done that before. I've lost some, and sometimes they get attached to something else you're working on, and you look and look and look, and they can be hard to find. Okay, the one on the bottom just there's no print here, so we don't want to use that one. We want to use the plain one. So I'm just going to peel off the back, and sometimes you can start it with your little tool, but sometimes it's easier just to use your fingernails to get it started. And I'm just going to put it so that most of it is on the paper. Now, you see that little piece? I'm just going to clip that off. Okay. So that'll be ready to go down. And then on this one, I'm going to use the longer piece. And there's a little piece there that didn't poke out. And I'm just going to try to decide where I want to put this so that it shows but doesn't cover up all the little bitty writing. And I think I might do it maybe like that, because after all, we are putting broken pieces together. but that needs to be a little longer. Let's see. Is that going to work better? You can play with it and move it around until you find where you want it. Okay, let's go back to, I think I'll do it like so. You still can read the little bitty writing, and beauty comes through since it's larger. So let me take my, stick them off the back. But see how easy this is to use? My problem is I just forgot to use it. Okay, so I'm going to put this, let's see, how did I have it, like so? Okay, I'm going to do it like that. And then I'm just going to clip off that little piece. All right. Now, let's get this baby together. I'm going to use some dimensionals on the back of the white. And if you can see, I'm using up the edge of my dimensionals so that I don't waste anything. I like to use everything. And let's see. Okay. So let's put this down. Right in the middle. There we go. Right in the middle. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back. But I want it popped up again, so I'm going to use, I'm still using this up. And I use about 2 pieces. Some people go absolutely crazy using this stuff, and if that's you, that's fine. I just find that it doesn't really need it. It still holds very well. So this is going to go right down in the bottom right corner. Then the stem, and you can see that I didn't have this part of my die down, and it cut out a little white around the stem that shouldn't be there. So I'm going to fix that by just putting it in the pot. There we go. Now, everything's popped up on this except for this one piece here. And I'm going to use some of our seal for it. But let's figure out where it's going to go. There's a little piece of, okay. So this is going to be a little bit offset here, like so. And this is going to go underneath. So let's come do it over near the pot and down just a little bit. And that one's flat. This one's going to be popped up. Oh yay, I'm almost at the end of this. So use all the center and then cut them in pieces and use the edge. Okay, so that's going to go right there. And, oops, let's see if I can, here are my little flowers. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool for this. This has an end that has putty, and it's a little bit sticky, so it just pulls those right off. And we'll put one there, and another one there. And we'll put one down here. Now, isn't that a gorgeous card? I just love it. And like I said, I had a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some of the other things I made. I'll demonstrate them another day. but I just love the way that it's got the gold to hold the pot together, and then we've got extra going across there to draw your eye to that. So, this is the end of my demonstration with the Kintsugi Suite. I hope you'll take a look at it, and if you don't buy the whole set, get the stamp set and the die. You can get that in a bundle, but then you've got to have the paper. I mean, you've just got to. So, like I said, you can part it out, or you can buy the whole thing. But I hope you'll have fun looking through the catalog. Don't forget the online exclusives. And please, when you go to order, go to my website, stampinatthebirdnest.com. I was looking for my sheet, which is right here. And there's my stamp. Oops, I've got the wrong view. Okay, here you go with stampinatthebirdnest.com. And remember, if you have any questions, you can use this and email me. Put Laura at stampinatthebirdnest.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I am able to read my messages. So here we have two beautiful cards. The other one needs something more down here. You know what? I can fix that right now. I forgot to put our little flowers on. So let's see, I'm going to we can put it in the decorative little scored place there. Oops, that's some of that putty. I didn't want that on there. Okay, and these have adhesive on the back of them, so you're just using your little putty part to pick it up. Yeah, that looks much better. That was lost in there. So this one was made with the larger pot, and this one with the smaller one. Okay, I will be back next week, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, and have something else really cute and simple and fun to put together. I love to show you different techniques and tools that you can use to make your card making time even more enjoyable. Come back and see me next week. Love you. I'll see you next Thursday at 12. Bye.